County, Virginia. They wanted to be able to monitor that from their home base, tie it to their existing network, and they were able to monitor it remotely. So, sorry, it looks like you might have to take a call. I don't want to.
No, I got it.
I'm sorry?
I got it.
Oh, okay. I don't want to interrupt you. So, I mean, we think it's a good new technology that, it's good to work with folks who care about us and who care about, it seems like, I feel like they care about the town and what's happening, but I don't live here. I'm not involved.
Right.
They just, we're trying to make a difference in the world and trying to, before, anything, we always had trenching. You could always open up a bucket truck and shovels and trench and then maybe put it on the poles, and then people started drilling under the earth, and that wasn't perfected for another 10 years. And, also, it takes a little bit of time before the plane flies, right?
Yeah.
You got to glide before you can fly.
All right. So you guys are just doing the tests out today and making sure everything's all right, or you're just still laying new line?
No, I mean, to be honest with you, it looked like there was some damage in the line that somebody had, hacked into pretty good.
Where, in the bridge or out here?
No, out here. And, vandalism is not an ideal type of thing.
Somebody vandalized it?
It didn't look natural for sure. The whole line has been great. They've had tractors and heavy bucket trucks and all sorts of things running over the line. And
so what was it, a chopper?
Yeah,
or a knife?
Yeah, I don't know. It looked like maybe somebody took a hammer to it or a crowbar or something, not to, maybe spend a little bit of time. This stuff is wrapped in steel. It's, the idea is that you have redundancy, and they've got redundancy in, so they didn't really lose the connection, but just, got to get it repaired.
Idiots, man. Nobody can leave. Some people can't leave stuff alone.
Talk about spending the town's money.
Sabotage.
It was definitely sabotage?
Yeah, I mean, talk about spending the town's money. People who sabotage it are spending even more, in a way, right? I mean, they're not getting their service. Every time there's something that goes down, the town's probably making less money on it. Somebody's got to fix it. We're a startup. We're out of pocket doing things like this. It hurts us pretty bad.
So sabotage, that's going to be on us, right?
On who?
On the city.
It's not on the city. I mean, the contractor and us, we're putting in our time to do it.
Oh, gosh.
Again,
so they cut through the tar and everything that was laid down?
It's not a tar. Let me.
It's a plastic?
It's almost like a concrete. Come over here and touch it. It's not that hard. It's really hard, like a rock. It's a really hard, durable
yeah.
material.
So it's like a slurry that you put down, and it bonds itself to the blacktop.
Right, and it protects it pretty well. We haven't had we do expect there's people who tinker with fiber cables all the time, or communication, or all types of things, and we just tried to we're trying to do our best with what we have right now, and there's lots of use cases. I mean, there's always going to be a need to trench a cable, right? And there's always going to be a need to use utility poles. This is just another option. When the network's being designed and architect, and they're saying, hey, how do we get across that bridge? We can spend $200,000 to go underneath, and it'll take us about 8 months. Or we could do $20K, and we can do it in a couple of days. The idea is that, let's get it done quick. Let's get it up now. If we make a whole bunch of money back, and we have the resources to put $200,000 into it and go underwater, maybe they do it.
Well, with that hard,
be a stopgap solution.
With that hard, covering there, somebody had to really come out here with a sledge or something to bust that up.
And then they took a little bit of asphalt with it.
Who's a freaking idiot that did that?
That's some of the insulation there. And I totally get your concern. I mean, as far as you as a concerned citizen, you're paying taxes. I pay taxes at home too, and we certainly don't like to see taxes go up. We like to have I prefer smaller government. You know, they don't interfere. I don't want them in my. I don't want them being an ISP. I want them to be open competition. You know, you know, for us, we're just. Unfortunately, we're not, you know, here. We don't know the concerns. We can't address it with the community and the locals. And, you know, having these types of conversations for me are really good to hear, because we hear from the people who, you know, you're end users in some way, and you're funding it as well.
So it looks like this is vulnerable to attack.
It can be. I mean, again, it's just like utility poles. They have cables coming down on the side all the time. People go out there with cable cutters, cut them right off the side of the utility pole. You know, they string along horizontally, but they come down on the side of the road. Every building has a junction box on the side of it. Brick buildings have cables that go up all the time. Cables are exposed all throughout the community. They're vulnerable.
Yep,
people want to take them down, they can.
Yeah, well, I suppose if they want to climb up a pole or something.
Well, no, again, I mean, go ahead and walk down there and you got cable, probably that pole right down there, it has a cable running down the side of it. You know, it comes up out of the ground and it starts to run where the cables are. All sorts of utility poles have cables running right down the side of them into the ground.
Yeah.
Every building has a cable on the side of it.
People generally don't want to mess with the electrical cable or screw with somebody's cable.
Well, generally people don't want to screw with anybody's stuff. Most people are pretty good. We haven't, you know, I mean, we had it out at a high school. Talk about kids who like to mess with things. Nobody bothered it at all. So, but, yeah, just again, just trying to find a better solution so communities don't have to spend so much. Going underwater for 200 grand or doing this for 20, there's a trade-off. And I'm Steve, by the way, so it's good to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
And you know, I'd love to answer any other questions you have, or, you know, I know there's concerns about it. Hell, I put it down and I've got concerns about it, but it's something that we're trying to make. Again, y'all aren't far from the Wright brothers. They had concerns when they started flying. I think they had people dying doing it, and, you know, they made a pretty big difference in the world. We're just trying to do the same thing. Trying to make it fly. Any thoughts? Any more thoughts?
Appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate yours as well.
All right. Yeah.
John, right?
Yeah. Mike.
Mr. Dev. It's good to see you, Mike. But I do appreciate you expressing the concerns and stopping and chatting, because, you know, for us, we haven't had these concerns, to be honest. I mean, we've laid it to, you know, it's been put down for many municipalities, many states, DOTs. We put it down on a case-by-case approval with VDOT, Virginia DOT, Maryland DOT. And yeah, I had a buddy who had fiber going through his neighborhood, and he knows about us, and he's a fan of ours, and he said they had cut a hole kind of like that right in the middle of his driveway. Right in the middle of his driveway, they had to put a handhole in his community. And they were out there for about 3 to 6 months, he said, putting the stuff down throughout his community. And he walked out to him, he said, you know, if you guys were using TRAXyL, you'd be done by now. And I was like, what are you talking about, TRAXyL? I have no idea what that is. And he told him about it. He's like, yeah, I'm just laying fiber, buddy. But his point was they had to cut, right? They had to trench through every front yard. They had to put handholds in multiple driveways, and they spent months being out there doing it. And somebody paid for it. It wasn't the homeowners, but somebody paid for it. Again, we're just trying to find a better way to crack this.
Well, when we're paying for it, we're all concerned.
Well, we're paying for it too, and I
apparently,
totally get your
since
concern.
somebody sabotaged the lines.
Well, I mean, look, I left a full-time career. I've got 3 kids. I've got a wife at home. I didn't have a paycheck for 18 months. I put my savings into this. That you know, I'm paying for it as well. So we paid a lot up front to try to find a better solution for people that could avoid, you know, a lot of times you cut into the ground, you can go through the permitting process, you can look for all the utilities underground. There's water, sewage, electrical, mechanical, there might even be rock. You can look for all that stuff. You may not know exactly what's there until you start cutting and trenching into it. You hit a gas pipe and blow something up and people die. You hit electrical and you lose power. You hit gas, water, anything else, and it costs more money. It costs more time.
So this is your company?
It is. Not this one, but TRAXyL is my company.
Oh, TRAXyL.
Yes, sir. And, you know, we're the ones who developed this solution. We've been working at it now for a little over 5 years.
So you're not with Green Springs, you're with TRAXyL?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, we're just trying to find a better way to do it. You know, people have been trenching for years. They've been taking a long time. 75% of this country doesn't have fiber. And you know, and there's a lot of people who still don't have broadband, high-speed internet. A lot of people can get dial-up or they can get...
I'm a little older than you. When I was a kid, nobody had CDs either. Now nobody uses CDs.
Yeah, right? Understood. They still listen to music. I remember my cassette tapes. I had mixed tapes. But innovation's what created the CD. Innovation's what created the iPad and the iPod.
That's why I went to electronics school.
Hey, what do you do now, sir?
I have my own business.
Hey, so you're just like me then.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Industrial. Take care. I got to get going.
I understand.
Thanks.
Have a good one. Thanks
You
for
too.
stopping by.
The Democratic candidate will...
So that guy that I was talking to, Steve, I guess, owns a business called TRAXyL. And I guess he works along with Green Springs, who are the fiber optic guys. TRAXyL apparently is him who has developed this technology where they put this concrete adhesive slurry mounted up over top of the fiber optic cable that they're laying on the surface. And he was making the sales pitch to me that they've done this surface technology all over the place. You know, you probably heard him talking about the states and cities in which he did it. But as he admitted, he's never done it across the bridge before, and they seem to have good faith that it'll work across the bridge, but he's uncertain. He's worried about the expansion on the joints where the bridge meets the terra firma, the hard rock. And you know, West Milton is built on rocks, it seems. Everything, especially up at the top of the hill there, it's all rock up there. He also told me that somebody sabotaged, and the guy who was working on testing and splicing or repairing the cable, they seem to think that somebody sabotaged the line and came out with a hammer or a sledge or something and beat the crap out of it and damaged certainly that cement mound covering that's over top of the fiber optic cable. But they damaged the covering of the cable too. He says they didn't damage the fiber optic, but they weren't certain about that, and they were going to go ahead and fix it anyway. Anyway, I'll touch base with you in a minute. When I first got there and talking to him and just asking general questions about how things were going and stuff, he really got defensive at first. For the longest time, for probably about, I think I talked to him maybe 25 minutes or so. For the first 15 minutes, he seemed to be very defensive about everything. He was not sure. I told him I was just an ordinary citizen, a taxpayer, concerned about what's going on, but he seemed very defensive about the layout of the fiber optic across the bridge. almost like he expected that I would be attacking him about the thing. I wasn't attacking him, I was just asking questions. Of course, you heard some of that video prior when I was standing there. At least I hope it came across. I started recording somewhat quite a bit into the conversation. Because I wasn't intending on recording it, but after a while it just seemed obvious. Maybe I should turn the video on and start recording some of that. Anyhow, it was curious how he got rather defensive. Anyway,